The post-Drake Maye era is beginning with Max Johnson coming in to take the reins at quarterback for North Carolina. Let's talk about how that's going to go in 2024.
We got a chance to do one thing that every team in the country can't do. We got a chance to step up, man. We got a chance to step on the ledge, you know what I mean? And to me, I think it's a free fall. To be elite, you got to think a free fall. That means you can't be afraid to go to the edge. And coach said, jump. You said, how far, coach? Where you want me to go? Every guy got a chance to do that today. If you're elite, grab somebody today. Take him with you. There's no more average in this program. There's no more average in this program.
How's everybody doing today? I am Colin Bashnigal, your host here at Bash's College Football Show. You can find all of my links down in the description. I asked that if you guys do like this video and like the content, you like the video. I really would appreciate that, as it helps the algorithm and spreads the word in the video to other people. Today we're talking about the North Carolina Tar Heels with Mr. Mack Brown coming back for another year, the coaching legend, one of the current coaches that have a national championship under his belt. What they lost in Drake Maye and Tez Walker on the offensive side of the ball, Corey Gaynor, the center, that's going to be definitely felt for sure, that impact right there. And they lost a couple in the transfer portal as well. Nothing overly major. On the defensive side of the ball, defensive lineman Myles Murphy going off to the next level. Cedric Gray, the longtime linebacker, is going to be gone, along with a couple of defensive backfield players and Armani Chapman and also Jaquarius Conley. These guys are going to be gone and off to the next level. So North Carolina going to have to replace them. So what are we looking at as far as replacing them? Well, we're going to start with talking about the transfers out before we go into the next step of this. And I think key transfers, there aren't too many to really be named. Andre Green Jr. going off to Virginia, just an interesting transfer within the conference. Nothing overly major right there. Kamari Morales, a guy that was maybe talented, that didn't exactly see the field too much. He's going to Boston College. That's definitely an interesting loss right there. On the offensive line, Diego Pounds, the offensive tackle, he's gone off to Ole Miss. That's a big loss right there, a guy who would have started for this team. Linebacker Sebastian Cheeks is also going off to Wisconsin for greater things up north, playing defense out there. And then Tayon Holloway would have helped for sure with this depth in the secondary, and the kicker Ryan Coe as well would also be a good help for this squad. If you take a look at what this team has, Max Johnson comes in from Texas A&M. He's likely going to be the starter. Connor Harrell is behind him, along with Jacoby Criswell. I saw he came back to North Carolina. Amari and Hampton and Darwin Barlow are going to be the 1-2 punch. I do expect for this Chip Lindsey offense to be really run heavy, with those two being the the bell-tail backs, as Amari and Hampton, a very well-known running back, one of the better ones in the ACC. J.J. Jones is the returning wide receiver that we get to watch for, with Kobe Paysor and Gavin Blackwell looking to take a little bit of a step up right there. Tight ends, of course, they had the addition of Jake Johnson, the brother of Max, but they also have John Copenaver and Bryson Nesbitt both coming back, and that's going to be big time for them, as they got a lot of depth at that tight end room. On the offensive line, they brought in transfer Howard Sampson. That's going to be a big-time add from North Texas for their offensive line to replace what they lost on the offensive tackle spot, with Pounds going off and transferring away. They also bring back a guy in Willie Lampkin, who's a really good player, and I think that he is maybe the guy that's going to know the system and know how it all runs a little bit best in the offensive line, with Austin Blaski being the interior offensive lineman that they added from Georgia, trying to really make a push for playing time in his late years of eligibility. On the defense side of the ball, Desmond Evans is going to be the big name that we know is coming back. He's also going to be partnered up with Kamen Rucker on the other side of the ball. These guys are going to be definitely getting after the quarterback very well, with a good edge rush and pass rush right there for this squad. On the linebacker core, they got a little bit to replace, and they're going to look to Amari Campbell as a guy who's going to step up in his second year in the program. Played a little bit last year and looking to be really good next to Power Eccles, who's going to start at that middle linebacker position. In the secondary, Elijah Huzzy, I should say it's Huzzy. Elijah Huzzy is going to be back, and opposite of him is going to be Marcus Allen. That's a pretty good duo at the cornerback spot, one that you can be comfortable with if you are a North Carolina fan. They brought in Jakeem Harris from the in-state rival, NC State. And that's definitely an interesting ad to go opposite of Antavius Lane at the safety spot. So overall, when you're looking at this roster, they have a little bit of concern in the back seven. It's not an amazing concern. I think this defense has a chance to be pretty decent with Jeff Collins calling the shots over there. But on the offensive side of the ball, definitely going to have to lean on the run game and hope that the offensive line is going to be physical enough, as there have been years under Mack Brown in the second tenure for him that North Carolina's offensive line has definitely not been up to par the way that they should. North Carolina's over-under is set at 7.5 wins in the ACC, as we'll take a look at their schedule and their difficulty of that schedule. Let's look at it right here with a Minnesota road game to open up on the Thursday night. I think Minnesota has a chance to be a pretty solid team this year with Dan Jackson coming back and Max Brosmer slinging the rock. But I think that Minnesota up and down the field is just something that they are not going to be conditioned to do. And I think that's going to be the only way that they win this game at home. It'll be a fun one, though, probably the game of the night on that opening Thursday night. You then come back home, you play Charlotte. NC Central should have no problem beating both of these guys, though I do want to shout out Charlotte because that's going to be the team that I take first in my Coach Carousel Dynasty. As of now, it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to stream at least that beginning of the dynasty. Trying to work towards that so that way we could stream the video game at some point. But right now, it's just not happening. James Madison, this is going to be a trendy upset pick for a lot of people, but I do caution you. James Madison is not going to be the same team that they were last year. I think North Carolina is going to ground and pound them to death, and I think they're going to win this football game. I think that Duke doesn't have the downfield presence, the deep ball presence specifically out wide to be able to challenge this North Carolina secondary and try to tire out this North Carolina team too. I don't think that they're going to be able to play with more pace either. With all that they're going to bring in the run game and all that Duke lost on the defensive side of the ball too, I think North Carolina has success. They win in Durham. But I do think that Pat Narduzzi and this Pittsburgh squad gets the best of them in Chapel Hill to give North Carolina their first loss. So they start out 5-0 before losing to Pitt, and then they lose back-to-back. Georgia Tech, they're going to have a pretty high firing offense. They're going to be really solid on that side of the ball. A little bit of a reunion for Jeff Collins. I think that they lose this game as well at home. It's not necessarily the toughest place to play in Chapel Hill. So for them to lose a couple games at home, that's not what's shocking. But I think as some of you might be shocked that I have Pitt and Georgia Tech being those two games back-to-back as well. But I definitely do think that they're going to hit a little bit of a wall where North Carolina kind of gets exposed the way that they have sometimes in past years. I think they survive on the road in Charlottesville, as I think Virginia is going to continue on improving. And in late October, this is not going to be a bad Virginia team, but I think that North Carolina scrapes by before getting absolutely demolished at Florida State. As much as I think North Carolina has a lot of potential, I think that Florida State definitely has a lot more talent. And I think that this is probably when Florida State's going to be playing some of their best football. I'm going to see Florida State here absolutely taking it to North Carolina and winning pretty comfortably there. In the final slide that we have here, they beat Wake Forest at home. I just think they're a better team in a tough road game right here against Boston College. I think Boston College is a really good team. This is a 50-50 coin flip to me, but I went with North Carolina because I do believe they have the matchup, and I do believe they have more talent. But I definitely think that this game, surprising to a lot of people when you see Boston College's name, this is going to be a little bit of a higher scoring battle, the way that Boston College will be able to go up and down the field with the wide receiver core they have and the quarterback they have in Thomas Castellanos. I think this Boston College offense, headquartered or really just the head man being Bill O'Brien, that's going to be something that is going to be fun to watch this year. And that game late in the year is going to be one that's definitely under the radar. That is going to be a fun watch on that second to last Saturday of the regular season. And then big-time rivalry game right here. NC State, a lot of people are high on them. North Carolina, kind of a team that people are sleeping on. But I'm going with the team that has the hype here. I just think NC State, they are a little bit younger of a roster than what a lot of people want to acknowledge. And I think that there will be a lot of problems that NC State will run into as a result of that. But I do think that they're going to be a really solid team and playing their best ball late in the year. I think NC State takes it to Chapel Hill. and they go out there and they get a big time dub with Grayson McCall putting a stamp on this rivalry game and a stamp on this regular season, making him one of the better ACC quarterbacks for this 2024 season. So overall, I got North Carolina going 8-4, but all 4 losses are in conference, a solid 500 in conference play. Look, their conference schedule is not necessarily the easiest for an ACC team, and I am not high on the ACC. But number one, I don't think North Carolina is amazing. I think that they're a pretty solid team. But you also just get all of those streaks of like back-to-back games against Georgia Tech and Pitt that are going to sneak up on you a little bit right after a rivalry against Duke. You're going to have NC State right on the heels of Boston College in that road trip late in the year. Florida State in a second of a back-to-back road trip. I think that 4-4 in conference play for this North Carolina schedule that doesn't set up for them greatly in conference is pretty realistic. And I think that any North Carolina fan, if you can avoid a loss out of conference, I think that'll make you happy for sure. But thank you guys for tuning in. Definitely did make this a shorter video. That's what I was trying to do here. And I don't have a pennant for North Carolina, so sorry to all you fans that were looking forward to that. But like I said earlier, if you liked this video and got this far, make sure you like the video and comment down below what you think North Carolina is going to do this year. But that's it for me in this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.